their existence of being here while they're here, or maybe for food or whatever it may be. There's a reason they need it. It's not because they want it to experiment with us or to do that stuff. I don't buy that no more, because this common sense tells you an advanced species that have been coming here for, who knows, thousands of years and been doing that same thing. You know darn well they've found whatever they want to find. So they obviously, it's so clear to me that they're doing it because they need to, again, to either sustain their existence here or whatever, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, I just think, I was sitting there in bed the other night, I was listening to an old Art Bell show, and I was listening to his guests, and it just hit me really hard. This has been going on before the pyramids, abductions. And I would think, unless they are really dumb, moronic, ludicrous aliens, they would have gotten any information they needed a long time ago. So I find it very strange that they're still abducting people and taking their DNA or taking their eggs or their sperm, or, cattle mutilation is going on. There's something going on. We just don't know what it is. And I tell you, we need to find out. Now, you mentioned on one of your reports that lady, in the jumpsuit wakes up and she's on a military base, probably in a hospital, military hospital. And here's a military person high up in rank, and here's a couple aliens next to him, and they're both saying, "Well, we want her. No, we want her. We want her." Well, what do they want her for? Do they want to put her on a big platter and put some, lettuce and tomatoes and oranges slices on there? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And just like implants, I would think they would have their motive for implants a long time ago, unless there's another motive there, even with implants. They're trying to control the humans some way.
Yeah, I definitely think the implants are multifunctional, multifaceted uses to them that they're using. I think it's not just maybe for tracking or knowing where you're at. I think that they can use them maybe to manipulate your thoughts, or maybe what they want you to do or where they want you to go. Because if they want to abduct you again, that would be one source. Well, let's get them over here, in a secluded area. I mean, that would be logically, that would be one way. But I think there's many different uses of them. And that's another thing. Think about it. If I came to your house and abducted you, and not just abducted you, but brought you through your solid wall, that would be kind of emotionally stressful. Not to mention when I get you up into my mothership and I pull all these, funky looking instruments, and I'm going to, not do pleasant things with you. And then when I'm done, I'm going to try to scrub your brain, and then I'm going to put an implant in you, give you a boot and a butt, and send you back home. And, these aren't pleasant things. I don't care how you church it up. It's not right. And if I did it, and then, I've heard people try to rationalize, and here's the thing: when you rationalize or justify, anytime you do that, it's wrong. I don't care if it's something you did, don't, or going to do, it's wrong. Find yourself rationalizing or justifying. And I'm sure that my court-appointed lawyer, even if I hadn't been around humans all my life when I ventured out and did this, and my offense was, well, I didn't know no better, they would say, no, you know what, you're going to go away for about 100 years and think about it, is what they're going to say to me. They're not going to say, oh, it's okay. No, it's not going to happen.
Well, one thing, I don't think they pull you through the wall or pull you through the window. I think they create a portal. That portal takes you probably right up to their spacecraft. And so what they're doing is they're walking in through a portal. They abduct you, take you back through that portal. And if you're lucky, you're the one that they return. Maybe when you're returned, the reason why you are returned, you're rejected. So they take you.
Right. I mean, you don't know. Look at how ironic that the poor lady got abducted, and they're bringing her back from the mothership, and the small craft crashes with her on it on a return. I wonder how often that's happened, or how often a mothership might crash somewhere. We just don't know. But, how ironic is that? And they didn't give a reason why, but I've come to think that, who knows, there was another alien faction that was vying for her abduction against these other aliens. So, anything could have happened there. It's just so many scenarios.
Oh, yeah. And, Antarctica, remember the coordinates I gave out yesterday? and that looked like a pattern for an old medieval castle.
Yeah.
Okay, it really does. Doesn't look like it would happen naturally. But, I think as more of the ice dissipates in Antarctica, we're going to start seeing some strange things. Maybe we'll find a lost continent where, they were so far advanced. And maybe we'll find alien technology. But it'd be really funny if we start finding stuff, like even a medieval castle in Antarctica would almost tell me certainly that the planet was rebooted. Because why would there be castles in Antarctica? That doesn't make sense, because the ice age, how old that is. So it tells me that the civilization of whatever is underneath Antarctica has to be the remains of a civilization that maybe was the original or one of the original civilizations in this on this planet.
Right. If I was you, I'd keep those coordinates, and every few days or once a week, see if you can Google and check, see if there's any changes. But, I can't think of the guy's name, but there was these maps that were made about 500-600 years ago. And, we supposedly have never been to Antarctica. And these maps were almost perfect aerial maps of Antarctica, which, first of all, you'd have to be an aircraft of some sort to even make these maps 500-600 years ago, which was not existent. And I can't think of who made them. But that makes you wonder, how did they have these maps made? We've never been on Antarctica 500-600 years ago, and they were made from the air. Okay, so how is that explain that one? So yeah, maybe there is, there's all kind of legends and lores about lost technologies and people that have civilizations that have once lived there.
Atlantis.
Yeah, Atlantis too. There you go. Maybe that could be part of them, or maybe they're related to them. We don't know. But there's all kind of rumors flying, even from the Nazis supposedly had secret hidden bases there and technologies too.
But that has been disproved. I'm going to be honest with you. The Nazi base in Antarctica, it was nothing more than a small weather station with about 5 people manning it. I did a lot of research on that. I mean, how rumors start going and going and going, like the ever-ready bunny rabbit. I mean, seriously, there was a German weather station there in Antarctica, and they were there after the war. But I don't think the submarines and the technology to have done what these underground bases like the Nazis supposed to have done couldn't have been done there, because they didn't have the technology to bring it in on the submarines, the amount of stuff that would have been required to do it. So I know I'm making people mad right now, but seriously, I mean, everything I have actually Googled, read about, tried to trace it down was, yes, there was a weather base, and it was 5 German military people that ran it. And they were there and picked up after the World War was over and brought back, to be brought back to Germany.
Okay, I can buy that. I know there's been some Russian ones there too, and I don't know what all they've done, but that's one place I'll tell you I wouldn't want to be, because you're literally in the middle of nowhere, I mean, you're secluded.
Yeah, it'd be scary. This is like being in the middle of the North Pole, which, by the way, is breaking up now. There's a report, I mentioned it the other night, that a big hunk of it, almost the size of the United States, is like cracking and getting ready to break. Something, again, I had a guy email to me and said I didn't know anything about global warming, that it was all, disinformation. Well, you know what? I disagree. I mean, if you'd have to be really not the brightest light bulb in the chain of bulbs to realize that things are going on. I mean, the weather patterns are changing drastically. The storms, hurricanes are getting more intense. the rain, in all this stuff. Things are flipping. Just because if we go into a mini ice age or we go into whatever happens because of global warming, some parts of the world are going to get really hot where people can't live. Then there's going to be areas that are hot right now that will be nice and comfortable to live at. And there'll be other areas that can go into an ice age. So the whole planet might not go into an ice age. It could be, like where Antarctica is, maybe Canada or the United States or part of the United States or Mexico. We don't know. Could go into an ice age. We just don't know. We never lived through it, have we?
No. And here's the thing that people don't realize. With that ice melting, what it does, it's fresh water. So when all that ice melts, it is lighter than the salt water. So the weight of it's going to press that salt water down, and then the sea levels are going to rise, and there's going to be more pressure on it. So what that can do is alter or slow the currents. And when those get altered and the sea levels rise, this changes the weather patterns all around the world. So, like you just mentioned, some places that are warm could be cold, and vice versa. And with that comes death of crops and animals and species that aren't used to it.
People
and people could set off a whole chain reaction. That's where people don't realize where it starts. It's all connected, and it starts with that, and it like a domino effect just carries on.
It does. I mean, why are big bottling companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and other companies, right, going into Washington State, my state, and buying water rights every which way they can get their hands on it? They got plenty of water to make bottled water. It's for the future. They're thinking, water is going to be worth its weight in gold, and if we add the rights for it, we can charge what we want for the water. Think about that. They're planning for like 20 to 40 years out. Now, I have to say something to everybody because I have forgot. We are taking off Wednesday and Thursday. There'll be no shows on Wednesday and Thursday. That's because I need to concentrate on those 2 days to pull all this together for Friday when we go to our new format and then next week. So I got to do some more work on the equipment in here that I got. I have to do a lot of different things, working with James, working with Sam and Tobias and Ryan, and make sure everything comes together. So I'm going to be taking those 2 days off. So you can go to our website again at www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, scroll down to the bottom of the website, and there's a player, and you can listen to around 400 and some shows for free. I don't charge you. Now, there is a donation button there, and if anybody wants to make a donation of $1 or $2 to get me a cup of nice hot jabba, that's cool too, because our bandwidth here is expensive and it's growing. In fact, I got a notice from my business internet provider saying, ooh, we went over like double last month. Crazy. Anyway, James, just think, in a couple minutes, Terry Lovelace.
Oh, I know. It's going to be incredible. I'll tell you what. Listen, I'll tell you, since I've heard about his story about 2 weeks ago, I was like, man, we got to get him on the show. It's going to be mind-blowing, bone-chilling. You don't want to miss it. Do not.
Oh, yeah. Miss it. And he was on what cable channel? It was the Travel Channel?
The Travel Channel was on My Horror Story, Season 1, Episode 5. I happened to get got to see it a week early with my provider for some kind of promotion when I saw it. And it was only a 15, 20-minute segment. He's going to be on here 2 hours telling us stuff that nobody's ever heard before. That's what's exciting.
Oh, yeah. I just can't wait. So anyway, we're going to go to break. We'll be back at about 7:02. And when we come back, we'll have Terry Lovelace. So get ready. Get yourself a nice cup of Java. Get yourself in a nice comfy chair, maybe a blanket because it's cold, and sit back, maybe get that fire going and just enjoy, our guest tonight, because he's going to have a lot to say. So anyway, we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with me, Gary.